Good evening, everyone. I'm KRISTIN Murray, the Executive Director of Voice of Hope. We're excited to have you here with us tonight on our virtual platform as we bring you our 46th annual Gala. We have a silent auction and some great things coming ahead. We have some staff who are going to talk to you about our organization and what hope means to them, and we're also going to introduce you to one of our survivors, Julia Walsh.
I know it sounds funny, but I always think of it as my baby. It was interesting how I discovered that we had no one doing things for people who had been raped back in the 70s. And I felt that was a shame, that was needed, and I am very, very pleased to be part of this organization, and particularly to see how it has grown so much since we started. I mean, we cover so many more things than we did when we first started. The most fulfilling to me is that we exist now, and it's over 40 years and we have grown tremendously. I'm amazed, really. We are the second organization to be a rape crisis organization in the whole state of Texas. And there were many others, and they died. And the fact that we are alive and doing so well is my pleasure.
So I was involved in sexual assault advocacy and awareness in college as a college student without having real knowledge that my grandmother had helped found Voice of Hope in Lubbock, in my hometown. And it wasn't until I moved home to Lubbock once COVID hit, by coincidence, that I wanted to get involved with Voice of Hope through volunteering and helping out with some of their outreach programs. And through that, I kind of felt like I was stepping into my grandmother's footsteps and kind of continuing all of the work, of course with the help of a lot of other people in Lubbock, that was so important to her and that she made a priority early in her life, that I would also make a priority early in my life as well. So I've gotten to know what an amazing woman my grandmother was and is, and it's been really meaningful for me. It's felt like a really great homecoming.
Hope is something that is such an amazing, strong, and empowering word, I think, and it can encompass so much that it really can speak to an individual. So given whatever situation we find ourselves in, what we need at that moment, hope can be whatever we need. So being with this organization and just being able to foster the idea of hope to the women and family and children that come through, whether it's a seed at that time or something bigger, but that can grow into that, just being able to foster that for somebody. And I think it's unfair for me to answer what it means to anybody because it's so personal, but to me it's the future and whatever that entails.
So Lubbock needs to know that we're here and we provide free confidential services to anyone affected by sexual violence, and that means sexual assault and sex trafficking. We're here 24/7, and we are always going to go out of our way to do anything we can do to help out.
I've been volunteering since I was 19, since 2001. 2002, yeah, 2001, 2002 is when I started. I went to a party. That's where most of my life decisions are made, at a party. A friend of mine told me that she had to leave early because she needed to go volunteer at the Rape Crisis Center, and I asked her what that was, and she told me about it. And a week later, I filled out an application. The prevention work that I do is aimed at mitigating the risk factors in creating the perpetrator. Lately, I've been working with community garden model to feed youth as well as adults to mitigate the risk factor of hunger, not having enough money. watching youth go into a community garden and pick fresh fruits and vegetables that they have not ever tried before, begging me to wash them off with our garden hose so they can eat it, is probably the most amazing thing I've ever seen.
I became a part of Voice of Hope back in 1998. I was an undergrad at Texas Tech University, and I decided to become an advocate. And at that time, it was in a very small house, and we would actually sleep there when we were on call. So you would stay there and you would answer the phone, and then if somebody needed to have another advocate meet them at the hospital, you would call and make those arrangements. My roommate was actually majoring in human development and family studies, and so she did her internship with Voice of Hope, which was the Lubbock Rape Crisis Center at the time, and she spoke so highly of her experience. And I've always, you know, I definitely have a passion for, you know, human rights and equality and thinking about what we can do for women, and obviously all the people of the world, but you know, especially women. And so I wanted to get involved, and I thought that would be a really great way. So honestly, my roommate in college recruited me because of her great experience. The people who are involved in Voice of Hope have been involved for years because of how outstanding the organization is. The staff are phenomenal. The sexual assault nurse examiners that participate in the organization are just amazing. Everybody comes from a place of passion. They come from a place of caring. They come from a place of yes. There's never an obstacle that's too large. There's never a situation that can't be addressed and resolved. So I think working with a team of people for so many years who see a challenge as an opportunity, they see how big of an impact they make here in West Texas, and not just here, throughout the state and nation. So I feel fortunate just to continue to being asked to be a part of it.
I am an on-call advocate. So when I'm on call, if somebody calls into the hotline, goes to the hospital, talks to law enforcement, and says that they have been sexually assaulted or trafficked, then I will go and meet them where they are, talk to them about their options, and if they go to the hospital, I'll go with them and be with them while they have their exam. Being able to be there with people in that worst moment of their lives and just meeting them where they are and seeing just the relief on their face when they know that somebody's going to be with them the whole time, that they're not leaving, that I'm not mad at any questions that they have, no matter how stupid they feel they are, because they're not to me, you know, and being able to offer them resources and just see the relief on their faces when I say something like, we offer free counseling, and you know, and being able to hear them say, "Oh, that's such a relief because I needed it, but I didn't know how to pay for it." So I think that is the thing over and over and over again, even when I get tired or worn out. That's the thing that keeps me going.
I had a rape counselor, and she's one of the people that, she doesn't know it, but touched me in so many different ways. Just having a person like that in my corner, she's someone I'll never be able to forget. And through my healing journey, I found out that it was the Rape Crisis Center, Lubbock Rape Crisis Center back then, but they had the same type of program. Here they called them advocates, and that was a little bit later. So I made it my personal goal to try to be strong enough at some point in my life to be able to be an advocate for someone else. There are so many survivors out there that are alone because of circumstances, because of just the fact that no one knows that we're here, out of fear. I mean, there's so many reasons why they're just out there by themselves, and so I would like the entire community to know that, especially for people like me, that we are here for them.
I do crisis intervention, and hopefully I provide some hope and some help to those people who are in a horrific time, a horrific chapter in their life. And when I leave them, I hope that they have a feeling of safe, a feeling that they've been helped, and hopefully I'm able to help them on a long, long journey of healing. No two calls are alike. Just when you think you've seen everything, the next case comes. It's all different, and it's an exciting time to work with a group of individuals who are extremely passionate about working with other people who are in a very huge crisis in their life.
When I go into the hospital room, when I walk into that door and you see that victim there, you can see the fear in their eyes. I don't like the fear in their eyes. I want, by the time we spend that 3, 4, 5 hours together, I want that fear gone. And that's what I try to accomplish. I want every victim that I service to feel like they're the only victim that I have. I want them to know that we're behind them, we're with them, they are not alone. So many times I go into hospitals and they have no idea who we are. You know, I think that we need to get the word, more word out there that exactly what we do and how we're there 24/7, 365. We're always there. We're always open.
I'd been working with a survivor of sex trafficking and her young children for about a year, and there was a lot of moves that took place, and we were always there. We were always present during those transitions, and we had to watch, you know, some children transition to different schools in different cities. And I remember one time I was moving a suitcase yet again, and I was super frustrated because I was lugging this, you know, luggage down the staircase, and I'm not lying, I'm complaining, and I was getting kind of fussy, and then I realized how she must feel, you know, how the family must feel having to do this over and over. And so when we got to take place in helping them get situated, I realized we're there for the journey. We're there for the good and the bad. And if it's, you know, it takes a toll on us, sometimes we think, how would they feel? So knowing that we're there and that they're not alone is worth it for me.
I have one person keeps coming to mind specifically who she was assaulted early of 2020, and her parents and her friends and anybody else that knows about it just are frustrated that she's not just over it at this point, and that it still impacts her life. So just being able to be there maybe when other people aren't or other people don't understand. Some people on staff are survivors and some are not, but many of us at least know somebody that is, and that we've you know, that's why we have a 24-hour hotline, and I always tell people that even in their worst moments, if they need to call or come up there and yell at somebody, I don't think anybody else would appreciate me saying, whoever's here, go ahead and yell at, but that they can come and release their frustrations and yell at me if they need to.
I was gonna say, as somebody who's grown up in Lubbock, I did not know about this organization until I was much older as an adult, and so them just knowing like we are here, we're here today. If they need something, we're here from 20 years from now if they need something. It's on their timeline, and that we can help with multiple things when it comes to sexual assault.
There's a lot more people that need to be helped. There's a lot more community that needs to be reached, and I believe that we have the ability to do so. It's just a matter of getting out there, going and talking to the right people, and just getting involved more with our community. Hope to me means that the best is yet to come. Hope to me means that even though I can't see it now, even though it's not tangible at the moment, my faith will get me through. My organization, my friends, my family, they will get me through. And this amazing staff here at Voice of Hope, I know that they understand what hope is, what it means to people who need it the most. And at the end of the day, that's enough to get us through, and just being there for one another.
To me, hope embodies a sense of relief, maybe, knowing that there is some inkling, even if it's super small, of light at the end of this maybe possibly really dark tunnel. I think also it makes me think of holding on to like a piece of fabric. You know, you're holding on for dear life, and if you let go, then there's no coming back. You are lost. But if you can just hold on, even if it's just a finger, just a pinch of a piece of that material, then you have something to work towards, something to live for, something to try to survive for. And so I think for me, hope is just, it's survival, but it's it's even more than that. It's like, you know, it's your soul, it's your life. If you can't have hope, then what do you have? Survival ties into my story personally because as a trafficking survivor, I was labor trafficked and sex trafficked. And even before that, I was in domestic violence relationships. I just experienced a lot of abusive scenarios where survival was really key, it was important. And I think it started when I was younger. I was adopted from an orphanage in Russia, and I don't know if you know anything about the 90s in Russia, but that was not a fun time. I mean, is it really ever a fun time even now? But it was really just a volatile atmosphere, very depressed, very much just all the same. You didn't really have much of an identity there. And so when I was born in Russia, I had many siblings, some of whom are still in Russia, but we were all separated because we're in different ages into different orphanages. So that was traumatic. And so that already started my kind of journey of survival, if you will. Speaking out as a survivor, trying to educate people, I think it's a 50-50 experience. And what I mean by that is it is so profound in my journey of healing. It makes me feel good being able to take something just absolutely atrocious as it has been and try to change it into something more positive, use it for some ounce of good, try to help somebody else. But I think also it is difficult because when you're talking about your story, whether it's specifically or if it's trying to take something from what you've learned or been able to learn from your story and use that to teach others or tell them about trafficking or try to help another victim or survivor, whatever that entails, I think it can be triggering, and also it's kind of a part of reliving that story, which then in turn is traumatic. And so I think it's a 50-50, but I would not change anything in terms of my journey in this educational path and trying to share my story and this information about trafficking and awareness to the community, just because it's been so rewarding. And it helps me be able to accept that what happened to me is not my fault, but I can do something about it now. The road to recovery has been a very non-linear process. It has entailed lots of steps back where I don't even know where to begin. I don't even have a foot to stand on. The path is very rocky. And some of that, or most of that, is attributed to all the trauma I've experienced. So when I'm trying to do good for myself, to better myself, to be in a healthy, wholesome place, it's hard because I didn't have a whole lot of experiences when I was younger, if any, especially in Russia, that kind of taught me what healthy relational experiences and all these rewarding aspects in life that, again, sometimes we just take for granted. I didn't have that to kind of compare to. And so for me, the journey of trying to recover was even harder because I didn't have that comparison framework. I definitely, had what they call relapses, but to me, a relapse, we have this negative connotation to the word relapse, but to me it's just a part of learning how to be the new you, because we're all new versions of ourselves. We just constantly are changing and learning. And so I think for me, rather than calling it a relapse, when I would be in my journeys of steps back, it was just more trying to learn for the first time, what is a healthy way of navigating this circumstance, or, oh, I am worthy of this respect or this love. When I'm speaking to people, I really hope that they are learning that at the most fundamental base of all of this, we are all people and we all have vulnerabilities. And in those vulnerabilities, we experience different circumstances, different situations, and none of them are to be compared to the other. We're all different. And so I think for so many people that don't know about trafficking, then it's important to start to learn what trafficking is, and then how maybe they can get involved but also the signs to look out for. And so even if people don't understand my story when I'm trying to share, I just hope that they learn that there should be compassion for everybody, including ourselves, because again, just because somebody hasn't been trafficked like I have been doesn't mean that they've not been through some significant trauma in their life, which they are also experiencing vulnerabilities with. And so I think it's the connectedness that we are all people just trying to survive and live life and learn how do we succeed in this and how do we navigate it. And so that's what I want them to learn the most from my story. And then from there, you know, it's kind of, I would hope, a natural kind of falling into place of what are the next steps and my educating myself or reaching out to somebody who needs help. You know, I hope that it would be a natural kind of easier way to be compassionate and empathetic. For any survivors or victims that are currently being trafficked, that may be feeling a sense of dread, fear, shame, doubt about seeking help or accepting it when they have sought help, I would just advise them that, you know, it's never too late to ask for help and it's never too late to accept it. And it's okay to not be ready for help. You know, we all are going to be in different phases. And so I think it's important that we, as survivors and any victims that may be watching this, just remind ourselves that we need to give ourselves grace and compassion. You know, grace needs to abound because we've all been through different things that are so difficult, and nobody should be able to tell the other person of what is best for them, because we are the experts of our own stories and our own lives and what we need. And so I think I just would want them in that kind of capacity to really just know, if nothing else, that there is always hope and that somebody is there that wants to help them. I think there are many things that can be done to support survivors. There is right now such a movement happening in the anti-trafficking field, which I think is absolutely amazing. It's commendable. All the people that are really trying to get involved and are doing really hard and good work, from organizations to volunteers, community members. I think the first thing that seems so simple, it doesn't seem like it's even something to consider as a way to help in this movement, but I think is accepting that we all have our own special talents, our own set of skills and gifts to bring to this table. A lot of times it's easy to get caught up in the, oh, I need to be the savior mentality, and that's understandable. You know, if you have a good heart, you want to be there, but I think the most important thing is reminding yourself that you're only one person, but we as a community can stand up and together we can say no, and that is the first step. And I think from there, just again, adding what you can to the field. Everybody has something to contribute, and everybody's gift is just as important as the next. When I share my story, a lot of times I hear people say, oh, I feel like I need to minimize what I've been through because what you've been through is so much greater and more terrible. But I think that it's important, again, going back to what I said earlier, we have all experienced trauma. It doesn't have to be just as Hollywoodized, dramatic, you know, big red flares of this is what happened to me, look at me. We've all been through very significant trauma because that's just part of being human. We're all going to experience trauma, and I think I just want people to know that it's okay to be interested in anti-trafficking or helping somebody, mentoring somebody, anything, and not have lived that story. You're still just as valuable and you still have so much to contribute. And I think just not comparing yourself or your trauma is really important. And I think the other thing is that while this is a really dark topic, it can be really easy to get disheartened, depressed, really just negative about this. You know, while this is a horribly, horribly traumatic thing for any human being to endure, there are so many things that can come from this that are good. You know, in my story, I'm now in college. I went back to college because I had community support. I had different people that were helping meet my needs, like Voice of Hope, you know, and other organizations that were coming in and filling the needs that I had. I think all of that support helped me get to where I am today, speaking to you right now, telling you my story, giving me a voice before when I was voiceless. I think all these things are important to remember, and I just want everybody to know that there is there is hope and there is good that can come from somebody's pain. There is hope. They can survive, and I think that everybody, no matter if they're being trafficked, they have been trafficked or have experienced trauma, I just want them to remember that for themselves too. While this is a human trafficking topic, and I want victims and survivors, community members to think about that in those lenses, I also would love for them to take that and kind of absorb that in their own personal lives. Because again, we're all people just trying to live and hold on to hope.
Thank you for tuning in this evening. We appreciate your support, and we hope that you learned a little bit more about our organization and what we give back to the Lubbock community. We would love to have you as a part of our Voice of Hope family. For more information, you can visit us at voiceofhopetexas.org. Thank you and have a great night.